Hey guys, and welcome to the tutorial of the coral beach bag. Here it is. How absolutely beautiful. Today we are going to be sewing this beautiful bag up in this tutorial. This is a wonderful bag. I will have a link in the information icon so that you can watch a video of me showing this bag and all the different features. We're just going to hop right into the tutorial in this video. So of course you've already downloaded the pattern and all the information is going to be in there. So I have nothing else to explain to you other than the fact that we are going to get straight in the tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I prepare my zipper. I like to use the zipper by the yard. So essentially you buy your zipper tape by the yard and then you can buy the matching poles. Now this sometimes can be a little bit intimidating for people, but you just need to remember that whatever size zipper tape you buy, you need to buy the matching size zipper pull. And they are numerical. So this is a size 5 and I got size 5 zippers. Super easy. The great thing about using the zipper by the yard is that you get to use all of your zipper tape. So you don't end up wasting any. If you buy the ready-made zippers, if you need a certain size, but you can't find that, you have to buy bigger, and then, you know, some of it goes in the landfill. So first thing I'm going to do is measure out how much I need, and I need 22 inches for the large bag opening, and all of this is going to be written in the pattern. Then I need 14 inches for the, actually 16 inches. So sometimes you have a little bit of waste, but that's all, which is awesome. I'll go ahead and show you how I do one of them. I actually made this, but you can get a zipper pull jig type deal. I made this a while ago. It's a piece of wood with a fork that's bent, and I bent the 2 prongs out of the way, so I have this which holds my zippers beautifully. So what happens is I take my zipper and I slide it in upside down. So the zipper pull hangs down the bottom. I take my zipper tape, split it, and then I flip it upside down, and then I feed it into the zipper at the same time. So the zipper jig essentially acts as a third hand, and then the zipper is on. And I like this because that means that the zipper is closed on both ends, which makes it easier to install into things. Okay, so we have our largest zipper, which is going to be the main zipper for the bag. I'm going to go ahead and prepare the opening of this zipper. So we're going to split it, and we're going to miter the corners of the zipper. So what I like to do is I like to get some tacky glue. This is high tack, and I like to place some glue and then you're just going to fold it over like that. And then I'll get a clip to hold it in place, and then that will dry as I'm doing other things, and they'll be ready to go once I am ready to sew. Now you could sew this if you wanted to, or pin it, but gluing it just makes my life so much easier. So that is what I do. And that is how it is going to look. So when it is sewn into the seam, it's going to beautifully veer off into the seam. So we'll go ahead and get our gusset pieces and start preparing this zipper. Okay, so now we're going to sew the optional zipper gusset. But in my opinion, you will definitely want to try this if it's new. It's going to be good skill building. So what we're going to do is we have our zipper already prepared. We have our 2 exterior, 2 lining. So we're going to get our ironing board, and we are going to press down one side 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch. And we'll do all of them that way. Make sure that it's still relatively the same size. Okay. And then the same with your lining. Now this will melt, so I'm just going to keep it on the one side and keep it on a lower setting. Now this side is going to be the side where the zipper tail is going to come out. So I'm going to keep it like that. And you can clip that down. Okay, so we're going to do 1/2 of the zipper so far. Keep the folds on one side and grab our zipper. I just put some clips on the end so my zipper doesn't fall off. And I'm going to take off my clips now that it has been glued. And we are going to lay it with the zipper pull down onto one of the long edges of the outer fabric. We're going to leave 1 centimeter seam allowance here. Now I'll go ahead and clip that all the way down. And if you want to open your zipper all the way up, it might make it easier for you. And that zipper is going to go all the way to the end, and we have that fold still. Okay? So we're going to take this and we're going to place that on top and sandwich the zipper in between. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew up the one side that has that seam allowance and then all the way down. And that's it. Okay, so now we're going to sew the zipper gusset. I am going to move my needle over. I'm using a zipper foot because I want to get nice and close to that zipper here. Go up. We're going to stop but 1 centimeter away and then pivot our fabric. Make sure that those folds are lining up and go all the way down. And stop. So we're just going to go ahead and press that seam down, and then down at the end we're going to line up those folds. And we're going to do a top stitch up the short side, down the zipper, and then down this side to finish that off. So we're going to go ahead and take the other 2 pieces and put those on the opposite side of the zipper before we do that top stitching. Gonna take our zipper, place it on the one side, and then clip. All the way to the end. Take our last piece of lining, put that on top, making sure everything is nice and even. Okay, and again, we're going to sew down this edge and then all the way down the zipper. We're going to snip that corner and flip it right sides up. We're going to go ahead and do a top stitch. And that will finish off our zippered panel. So now we're going to sew those two folded edges together. Go all the way up. And then we're going to pivot our piece and sew down. All the way down. And to the end, we're just going to again pivot and go down. And we'll do the same on the other side. Pivot. Okay, so now we're going to create our interior pockets. So we have our pocket already done. We have one of the main panel interior piece. And all you're going to do is take that, place it on top, lining up the sides and the bottom edge. And we're going to just baste this on. Now, while we're there, we can also decide how large of a pocket we want on our slip pockets. So I like to have a small pocket for things like my cell phone, you can put a water bottle in these pockets, sunscreen, sunglasses. So you can decide how you want to divide this up. So we're going to do 4 inches from the side, and I'm just going to draw a line with my chalk. I'm going to do a 6 inch. 6 inch is great for water bottle, books, diapers. And then I'm going to leave this one really big. So this is probably, what is this one? That one is about 7.5. Also, you can put, diapers and wipes in one, and a set of clothes. So this is how I like to divide it up. When we go to sew those lines, we're going to double tack at these points to make sure that it's really nice and strong, because this is going to be pulling when you're using the bag. So make sure you do that really, really tightly. Okay, and now we are going to do the pockets. I like to start at the bottom of the pocket just because sometimes if your fabric can start to pucker, and then it'll come down here, and then you'll have this little like bubble. So start at the bottom, and we'll go up. When you get to the top, we're going to, that's okay. Okay, so we have our zipper prepared. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our outer panel, we're going to flip it upside down just so it's easier to work with. And we're going to get my ruler and we're going to measure down 1.5 inches from the top edge. We're going to take our lining, one of the lining, and we're going to place that with the right sides down, lined up with that measurement. Okay. Now we're going to take our ruler and we're going to move it down to 2.5 inches. Okay, now this is waterproof canvas. You can write on the back of it, it will not transfer through, but just be mindful if you are using fabric that you might see through. So I'm going to take a pen, and from 1.5 inches to the edge of the waterproof canvas, we're going to draw a line all the way across and stop 1.5 inches before the edge of the waterproof canvas, like that. Then we're going to go down, I like to go down 3/8, and we're going to do the same thing. Okay, there we go. Okay, so ignore the other line. And then from here, I'm going to draw a V shape going towards the center. You might need to pin your fabric, and I will pin it here just because this is waterproof, and if you want it to stay waterproof, then don't put holes in it. But we're going to go ahead and sew that now. Now we're going to sew those parallel lines. Okay, so we have our parallel lines sewn. So now I'm going to take my scissors and cut a slit right in between the lines. And then I'm going to cut towards that little V that we drew. And then we're going to cut with the V into the corner, which is where that row of stitching ends. And so make sure you don't cut your stitches. You just want to get close to it, like that. And now we'll take this fabric and we will push it through the hole. And you can press this if you're able to, if you have fabric that's not going to melt, or you can do what I'm doing and just kind of press and clip. Okay, so that is how it is going to look. Now because we put in those little triangle snips, you just want to make sure that those are poking through here. When we do our top stitch, it will secure those little triangles out of the way. So as long as they are in between the layers, then you're not going to see them again. So now we're going to get our zipper, and we're going to place it so that the zipper is opening this way. And we're going to place it behind. And if you have double-sided tape or basting glue, you can kind of take off the clips and then just carefully, you know, make sure it's centered on both sides. And what I like to do is just start sewing it. I like to wing it. So you'll see that. It's easier in my opinion, but everybody has their own way of doing these welt pockets. Okay, so how I like to do my zippers is I'm going to take off my clips. I have one pin in my zipper, just so that I know that it's even on both sides. I have my zipper foot in the machine, and I like where that is, not too close to the zipper, and I'll start sewing. I'll move my foot or my pole out of the way and then keep going. And as I'm going, I'm just adjusting and making sure that it is even. All the way down. Now I'm going to pivot, go over, and then we're going to go back down the other side. Doing the same thing. And I'll bring that zipper back. And finish it off. Okay, so now we have our zipper done. We can take our other lining piece and we can place that on the back. Now, if you have any excess zipper, you can go ahead and clip that off. And we're going to put this lining on. And we're going to sew all the way around this lining. Okay, so now we're going to sew that lining pocket. So all I'm going to do is begin on one side, making sure that our main fabric is tucked out of the way. And then as we pivot, we will continue to tuck. Now feel free to reinforce the bottom of your pocket with a second row stitching If you're worried that your fabric is not thick enough, or if you think the stitches might break while you use it, this is the great thing about making your own stuff, is that you have the luxury of reinforcing things and doing those little extra things to make your bags that much better. Now I have the interior zipper pocket. I am going to do it the exact same way as the outer pocket. So I'm just going to do a little bit with you, but refer to the other pocket to know how to exactly make this one, which it's identical. So we're gonna put our fabric right sides down. We have our ruler. We're gonna measure down 1.5 inches from the top. Make sure it's centered on both sides, and then measure down 2.5 inches. And we're going to draw those parallel lines again, an 1.5 inches from the sides. So I have my zipper already prepared, and it's gonna go the exact same way. Now I went ahead and did the lining pocket, and we're gonna leave the zipper open, and we're gonna do the same as we do with the other pocket, but the only thing different is we're going to leave the bottom open, and we're going to use that to turn our beach bag right side up. So what I like to do is I like to fold up the fabric and then fold back the other one. So folding up the top and folding back the other. And then when we go to sew down, we're going to sew over those folds. So when we're finishing up our bag, then we're just going to do a top stitch along here, and it will look nice and polished. Okay, so now we can assemble our outer bag. So I have my bag bottom. I have the 2 prepared side water bottle pockets, 1 and 2. We have our finished zipper panel, and then we have our pocketed panel. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the front of our bag, and we're going to put on the 2 side pockets. So we're going to place these on top just like this, lining up the side seams. Now we're going to remember our seam allowance, which is 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And every time we sew a row of stitching, when it's at the bottom of our bag, we're gonna stop 3/8 or 1 centimeter away from the end of our seam. So if you have, if you're not sure, or if you're gonna forget, you can go ahead and get your ruler and you can measure up 3/8 and just put a little tick there, so you know. You can do that on the other side. But every time we go to put a new piece on the bag, we're going to stop at 3/8 of an inch before we get, so we're going to sew all the way down and then stop. Okay, I will remind you for every other piece, but first we're going to go ahead and sew this. When we're at the top, you can sew right to the top. It's just down at the bottom here. Okay, now we're going to begin assembling the lining of the bag. So again, we have our bottom of the bag, our two side panels, and we have the pocketed and then the zipper pocketed. So we're just gonna work with one for now. And we're going to take our side panels, place those on top, lining up the sides. And again, we're going to make sure that we stop 3/8 of an inch before we get to the end of our row of stitching. Okay, now we're going to sew down the sides of our bag. And then we're going to stop 3/8 and then cut our stitches. And that's perfect. So it will kind of have this flared open at the bottom. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the lining. And again, we're leaving that at the bottom. Okay, so we have our side panels sewn on. So we're going to go ahead and grab our bottom of the bag and open up these side panels, and we will put this one on the bottom. Now, because we didn't sew all the way down, when we go to put this on, you're able to clip it all the way to the end. But again, when you sew this on, you're going to stop 1 centimeter away from both sides. And as you keep doing that, then you're going to allow the fabric to kind of find its place. And then you won't have weird corners once it's all constructed. So this is really important that you remember that rule. So again, 1 centimeter, leaving 1 centimeter gap on both sides. Now, because we're doing that one, we're gonna go ahead and do the lining at the exact same time. It's just starting 1 centimeter up. We're going to start sewing. And okay, so we have that all done. Now we can grab our last main panel piece and we can do the same thing. First, we're going to do the side panels. All the way down. Going to the other side. And we'll sew this in the same manner, leaving 1 centimeter gap down at the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat this for the lining super quick. Okay, now we're going to sew the side seams. Do the other side. Remember, when you get to the end, leave that 1 centimeter 3/8 gap. Okay, so the last thing is just to do up that bottom piece. Okay, I'm gonna go and sew this up. And when you get 3/8 or 1 centimeter away from the end, you'll feel this part. So you want to sew right up to those stitches, and then it'll close up any hole that wants to be created in the corner. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to place our zipper gusset and our crossbody adapters. Now if you didn't make these, then just skip that part, or if you didn't make the zipper gusset, you can skip this part as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip our bag right sides out, and we can see what it looks like. Oh man, isn't that gorgeous? Absolutely beautiful in the back with that huge pocket. Beautiful. I'm obsessed. Okay, so we have our zipper gusset, and what we're going to do is we're going to place one side down, and it should nestle in between the seams nicely. And if not, and if it's, you know, you added a bit of a bigger seam allowance here, then just make sure that it's centered nicely. And we're going to go ahead and clip, and we're just going to baste this on to our bag. This is going to make your life a lot easier, because when we go to insert the lining, this will probably move around. I am then going to undo, and you can do one at a time if you want to, but if not and you want to do it at the same time as me, I undo my zipper, and then I'm going to flip it like this, and then again, because we don't want to flip it too crazy, we don't want to get our zipper all messed up, and then we'll place that like this, and then you can flip it over and you can go ahead and clip that nicely. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and show you quickly how I'm going to do my adapters. You can sew on this stuff first and then go ahead and apply this one. But I'm just going to put it on now. So we're just going to center that, and we're going to clip. And we'll baste this on at the same time. And if you want to let this overhang a little more, like let it overhang a bit, so that when you go to do that finishing top stitch on your bag, then you'll add another row of stitching to this piece, and then that will give it even more strength, because there is going to be a lot of stress on this from carrying the bag. That's not necessary for something like a zipper gusset. But for something like this, which is a bag adapter, you want to add strength. So what I'm saying is that when I'm at the machine, I'm probably going to move it up about 1/2 inch and then sew it. Okay, so before we sew it, we're going to put our straps on. We have 2 straps, and we're actually going to put it in between the layers of the bag and the zipper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 4 inches. Put a mark. And then I am going to line up that 4 inches with the middle of my strap. Just like that. And I'm going to do it on the other side. So you can do like 3.5 inches if you want. And then line it up with the side. And I'll clip that. And then we'll just base that on when we're doing the rest of the stuff. And we'll flip it over. And do the same thing. 3.5 and 3.5. Slip it in between the layers, making sure we don't twist it. There we go. And you turn up your stitch length too if you want, since it is a base stitch. Move this up. Okay, so before we go any further, we just want to make sure that our zipper is closing properly and make sure that we didn't twist it or anything. It looks good. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and put our lining in. So we have it flipped right sides out, but we're going to keep the lining inside out. And we're going to put this inside here. Now the way that I want to have my bag, this is the front, and typically we have the zipper portion against our bodies when we're holding our bag. So I am going to flip it this way. So there's my zipper. The zipper is open, and I'm going to slip my bag inside. Okay. Now we're going to basically line up the top. Everything is tucked inside. Line up the top, and we're going to clip all the way around the bag. And we're going to give this a nice large 3/8 of an inch. If you're more comfortable, you can even do a 1/2 inch. But we want a nice large seam allowance so that we can make sure that everything gets caught. And just line up those side seams with each other. Alright, just like that. And now we're just gonna sew all the way around that opening. Okay, so let us sew. This machine is handling the thickness so well, and it's not even that thick, but very impressive. Keep flipping it around. Just keep that in mind. That's sticking out a little bit, so I'm going to go with the actual fabric for my seam allowance. Okay, we are done sewing up the top. Just try to make sure that all your layers have been caught before you do the back-breaking work of flipping it right sides out. And we're just gonna start pulling it out. Be very careful when you're pulling it out that you don't accidentally rip the stitches, because it's very easy to do that. So for the lining, I can put my hand inside the zipper pouch and pull it through this way. And then kind of push it through the hole. And you can inspect it as you're doing it, because there have been times where I have had to flip it back to fix something. Okay, that's great. Yeah, okay. Now we're just going to take this and put it in. I love the waterproof canvas because it adds strength, durability, structure to this bag. And if the bag gets wet on the outside, it won't transfer to the inside. So the last thing that we're going to do, other than inspecting your bag thoroughly to make sure everything looks good, is we're going to do a top stitch along the top edge of our bag. And you're going to do it with your strap up and your gusset and your little adapters out. You'll see when I'm at the machine, but you just want to push your lining down and then flatten the top here. So when you go to do it, it's nice and flat, and you know, you want to make sure that that is pulled. And you might need to adjust it as you're sewing. And then we'll pull out the zipper pocket lining. And remember how we folded the edge in? Now it'll be super easy to just fold the rest. And then we'll just go ahead and do a top stitch to close that up. And sometimes people will put like a little tag here if they made it handmade, wash instructions. Keep in mind that if you do make my patterns, you're welcome to sell them in any capacity. just as long as you're not, you know, selling my pattern or selling it to Amazon. You're just kind of in a small scale, maybe Etsy shop, or in a crafts show or something like that. So I'm always encouraging people to make a buck for themselves if they can. All right, we're gonna go ahead and finish it up and then we'll be done. That zippered lining first. Okay. I'm just going to get about 1 millimeter away from that liner. Okay. Again, pushing in the lining. And we are pretty much done. So now we can go ahead and attach our cross body straps. Beautiful. And the only thing that I have left to do is to add on the end of my zipper. So I went ahead and grabbed a super cute zipper kind of end cap. So here's how it looks. And it comes with a little set screw with it. And you're going to just slip it onto the end of your zipper. You're supposed to fold the zipper tape carefully behind it. And then you're going to slip that into the cap. Okay, now I melted it too good. Alright, want everything to get tucked and then try to get it as deep as you can. Okay, so that's how it's gonna look. And of course, I didn't have rose gold. And then you're gonna take the little set screw and then put it in the back. You hold it and then you spin. So you can use leverage. And there we go. Okay, and we're done. How beautiful is our new beach bags? I am so excited to use this beach bag this summer season. I hope that you had an enjoyable experience sewing up your beach bag with me. If you have any questions or concerns, or you would like to share a photo of your beach bag, then come over to social media. All my links are in the description. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that you subscribe and stick around for more fun patterns, and I will see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye guys.